Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Danielle Fisher, and I'm the event manager here at ECO Canada. And today's session is called ECO Canada's Wage Funding Programs, Bridging the Gap Between Talent and Opportunity. Before we start, I would like to take a moment to recognize the traditional Indigenous lands where ECO Canada's office is based in Calgary. At ECO Canada, we're committed to working towards respectful acknowledgement, collaboration, and reconciliation with Indigenous peoples across Canada. This starts with acknowledging our honor and privilege to live and work within the Treaty 7 territory. Today, we are presenting from the city of Calgary, home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. We would also like to take this time to acknowledge the traditional territories and oral practices of the Niitsitapi, home of the Blackfoot Confederacy, which includes the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai First Nations, and the Tsuut'ina and Goodstoney, which include the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. Before we start, there are a few housekeeping guidelines for today's session to ensure that everyone can enjoy and participate in our session effectively. All participants are muted, so please check your audio settings to ensure that you can hear us properly. If you're experiencing any technical issues, please use the question box and select ECO Canada, the organizer, and I will do all that I can to resolve the issue. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be made available on demand to you within the next 24 hours. Everyone who registered for the webinar will receive an email with a link to the video. Any questions that you have about the presentation or today's topic can be submitted through the chat box or question box. We will have dedicated time after the presentation to answer any questions from the audience. Finally, we really want to know what you think about our webinars and how we can keep improving. You'll be sent a short survey after the webinar ends. Please let us know what you think or if you have any comments or suggestions about the webinar. ECO Canada's vision is to build the world's leading environmental workforce. ECO Canada seeks to help environmental workers succeed at each step of their career journey. To do this, ECO Canada has developed programs tailored to individuals at different stages of their career. For those looking to enter the environmental workforce, ECO Canada provides training through the BEAR program, and accreditation for environmental programs at post-secondary institutions. ECO Canada also provides opportunities for new workers to break into the environmental sector through wage funding for co-op students and recent post-secondary graduates. For those already employed as environmental workers, ECO Canada provides the environmental professional and environmental professional in training certifications and EPT students. Lastly, ECO Canada provides opportunities for those with vast experience as environmental workers to provide guidance and direction to ECO Canada's products and programs through advisory committees and emeritus memberships. I would like to introduce Celine Horrocks. Celine is a program coordinator here at ECO Canada. Celine holds a Bachelor's of Science in Geography from the University of Calgary and is currently working towards her Master of Science in Environmental Practice through Royal Roads University. She loves hearing feedback from hosts and interns about how the employment programs have helped them do so much interesting and important work in the environmental sector. Next is Karen Dege. Karen is a program coordinator here at ECO as well and oversees part of our Ontario region placements under the employment programs at ECO Canada. As a program coordinator, Karen coordinates funding provided by the government to employers and candidates, students to cover part of their employee wages. These employment programs stimulate environmental careers, skill development, business growth, workforce support, and workforce advancement while providing young employees with valuable on-the-job experience, helping support the overall growth of Canada's environmental workforce. Over to you, ladies.
Okay. Thank you, Danielle. So my name is Karen, and I will be taking you through part of the webinar, and then I will be joined by my colleague Celine towards the end of the presentation. So some statistics to just go over is that environmental employment is expected to increase to 764,340 workers by 2025. About 1 in 25 workers in Canada is expected to be in a green jobs by 2025, and professional, scientific, and technical services will account for over 30% of net environmental job openings by 2025. This is over 52 job openings. Now, about our wage subsidy funding program. So we have facilitated connections between environmental organizations and proficient early career professionals for more than 2 decades through our wage and training funding programs. This enables us to foster invaluable work experience and crucial skills. Some of these benefits to the host employers include increased work capacity, the ability to assess talented youth with new ideas and skills, increased employee retention, reduced staff training costs, strengthening overall business operations, as well as supporting the growth of new qualified environmental workers. Our focus is to ensure that eco-employment program bolsters Canada's environmental workforce. The worth of these programs is rooted in our pledge to advocate for the comprehensive career trajectory of Canada environmental workforces. The benefits permeates to educators, students, new entrants, environmental professionals, and employers nationwide. Now, I will be taking you through some of the programs that we are currently offering this fiscal year and hope to offer in the new fiscal year that starts April 1st of 2024. Now we have our student work placement co-op program, which is designed for students who are currently in their currently taking their post-secondary institution, the Canadian post-secondary institution. So the funding is 50% to a maximum of $5,000, and we are funded by our Employment and Social Development Canada. This is for job positions that are in the STEAM field. So anything that is in science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics, and business with a positive outcome on the environment. The placements can go for a minimum of 6 weeks to a maximum of 16 weeks. And for the host employers to be eligible for that reimbursement, the student will have to have worked a minimum of 180 hours for the duration of that placement. Now, a key point to take out of that student work placement co-op program is that the funders have reinstated that net new requirement. And so what this means is that we will only be able to fund an increase in the number of employees that you would hire. So for example, if your first year hiring a student with us was 2022 and you hired 2 students, and now you are trying to get funding for 2 more students in the year 2023, you will have to anticipate hiring 4 students because we can only fund the increase in number of students that you would be hiring. Now, just to go over some eligibilities for the candidates. So for you to be eligible for the program, you would have to be either a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or a person with refugee status to qualify. And then you will also have to be actively enrolled in a Canadian post-secondary institution and returning back to school to complete that degree. Now for host employers, our program is open to all businesses of all sizes, except for municipalities, governments, and post-secondary institutions. During the placement, the placements can be full-time or part-time for the duration of that. Now, the great thing about the Student Work Placement Co-op program is that it allows many back-to-back placement with the same students, but you will have to put in new application for each term that you are trying to get funding for that student. So you are able to get funding back-to-back with that student until they graduate and become ineligible for our Student Work Placement Co-op program. But at that time, if they have graduated, we may have other programs that you may be able to utilize with these students to be able to partake in one final full-time program with Eco Canada. Now we're just going to go and run our polls.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're just collecting some of these in here. It looks like 33% is yes, 21% no, 11% already have funding, and 34% would like to hear more.
All right. Okay, but we will be following up with you after the presentation if you are interested in that student work placement co-op program. Now, moving on to our next program that we offer. So we have our Science Horizons Youth Internship Program. This program is designed for recent graduates who are entering into the workforce and looking for that first full-time job in the environmental sector. And so the funding is 80% to a maximum of 25,000, and we are funded by the Environment and Climate Change Canada. The placements can go for a minimum of 6 months to a maximum of 12 months. Now, the key point to take about this program is we are looking for roles that are strongly related to the STEM field with a positive outcome on the environment. So something that's in science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. Now, another great thing to take out of this program is that there is funding that is available for training and wraparound services. So training and wraparound services are any skills that will help your intern in their current job role that will just help with upskilling them and helping them with doing their job role better. And so that funding is 80% to a maximum of $5,000. Now, the great thing is this is not included in the total amount. So the funding is 80% to a maximum of $25,000, but this training fund is an additional 80% to a maximum of $5,000 that will be available to your candidate. Now, one thing to take out of those training is that they are broken down into different categories. And in the next few slides, you will be able to see the different categories to get a better sense of what may be approved by the funders for reimbursements. Now, for the candidates to be eligible, they will have to be Canadian citizens, permanent resident, or a person with refugee status to qualify. They will have to be either 30 years or younger. If they are already 30 years of age, they will have to have started the job position before they turn 31. And then they will have to also have graduated from recognized post-secondary institution. Now, for the employer eligibility, it is open to businesses of all sizes. But another thing to state is for the Science Horizons Youth Internship, for the duration of the placement, it will have to be full-time. And now we're just going to go over a second poll.
Hi, Karen. The poll is actually at the end at ASP.
Oh, all right. No worries. So we were talking about the training fund and wraparound services that are available. So this is an additional 80% to a maximum of $5,000, and they are broken up into different categories. So about $1,000 is allocated to certifications and training. Another $1,000 could be allocated to mentorship and career coaching. We also have some transportation and relocation coverage, as well as internet support, child care and family care support as well. So once you're pre-approved for funding under this program and you have been matched to your candidate or host employers, the contracts are sent out to you through DocuSign to complete. Now, part of the envelopes in that DocuSign contract will include the training request guide form along with the training request form as well. So you can go over that, fill that out, and send back to EcoCanada. And so in order to get reimbursed, the first step would be to complete your training request form, send that over to the Pathways inbox to be reviewed by the funders. And then once your training request form has been pre-approved, your regional coordinator will reach out to you, just confirming the pre-approval. And then you will go ahead and make that purchase of the training request and then send over the invoice so we can use that to reimburse the host organization. Please note that for all the training requests and training request forms, they are to be completed by the organization, and the training request or any training should be purchased by the organization, just because we are unable to reimburse individual accounts. And now I'm just going to talk about the next program, which is our Environmental Foreign Talent Development Program. And so this program is designed to help newcomers coming into Canada to find work that matches their experiences from abroad. This is funded by the Government of Canada's Foreign Credential Recognition Program. The funding is 75% to a maximum of $15,000, and the placements have to be a minimum of 3 months to a maximum of 6 months. Now, key points to take out of this program is that this is the only program that we have that accepts work permit holders. Another thing to state about the program is the individual or candidate will have to be 30 years or younger to be eligible for the program. And then for the job positions we are looking for under this program, they will have to be environmental STEM related positions. Now, for training funds, through this program, I believe the interns will have about 4 phases of training that they will have to get through the duration of their placement as well. This training should be completed as we are unable to make any reimbursements back to the organization until the training is completed. Now, for the candidates to be eligible for the funding, they will have to be either a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, person with refugee status, or work permit holder. They will have to have international environmental work experience and have graduated from a recognized post-secondary institution. The great thing about this program as well is that it has no age restrictions for the candidates. For host employers to be eligible, this program is open to businesses of all sizes, but the placement will have to be full-time for the duration of that. And now I'm just going to hand it over to my colleague Celine to take us through the rest of the programs.
Thanks, Karen. So this program, the Environmental Jobs Growth Program, formerly known as the Sectoral Workforce Solutions Program, is designed to help employers grow, develop, and diversify their environmental talent. The program welcomes job seekers looking to enter or advance their careers in the clean economy, and this one is funded by the Canada Sectoral Workforce Solutions Program. So this one offers 50% wage reimbursement up to a maximum of $15,000. But if the candidate self-identifies as an equity-deserving individual, that could potentially push you up to $18,750 for reimbursement. We're focused here on placement and organizations working within the battery supply chain, clean economy, technology, with a strong focus on climate change adaptation and mitigation. And placements are 6 to 12 months in length. So for this program, the key points are that candidates can be above 30 years old, so there's no age limit. There is that focus on equity deserving candidates, and the type of roles that we can approve for this program are very kind of hands-on, more field focused. So for example, a role that revolves around education regarding climate change adaptation and mitigation, that unfortunately wouldn't be eligible, but a role such as installing solar panels or developing mounting systems for solar panels, that would be perfect for this program. So this one does offer training funds as well, and it offers 100% up to a maximum of $5,000 for training and wraparound supports, in addition to the maximum $15,000 subsidy amount. And candidates must be Canadian citizens, permanent residents, or hold refugee status. Again, there's no age requirements, no restrictions, and there's no post-secondary requirements either. So that's really helpful. And it's open to businesses of all sizes for full or part-time roles. Next slide, please, Karen. This one is our Environmental Employability Pathways Program, which is funded by Employment and Social Development Canada. So the aim of this program is to help all youth ages 15 to 30 navigate the labor market and help them find a permanent role in the environmental sector. This program offers 50% up to a maximum of $12,000, and there's a lot of room for placement length in this program. So it can be a minimum of 6 weeks to a maximum of 12 months. And the key point is the focus again on the equity deserving self-identifying candidates there. There is training, 50% up to $2,000 available for training and wraparound. But typically people, if you're maxing out at 12,000 wage reimbursement, we won't be able to offer funding because it is included within that 12,000. And the candidate, like the breakdown, like our other programs, Canadian citizen, permanent resident, refugee status, and the candidate must be 15 to 30 years old. So if they are 30 when they start the program and they turn 31 while they're in the role, that's okay, as long as they're 30 or under when they start. And there's no post-secondary requirements for this program either, but the focus is on small to medium-sized enterprises, and it can be full-time or part-time. Okay, Youth and Natural Resources. So this program, which is funded by Natural Resource Canada, helps train and fund youth ages 15 to 30 looking to transition into or gain experience within the natural resources field. So this program offers 75% coverage up to a maximum of 18,000, and there is the potential to be maximized to 30,000 if the candidates are equity deserving. And we're looking for environmental positions within the natural resources sector, and they can run anywhere from 3 to 12 months. The natural resource sectors that qualify would include the energy sector, forestry sector, mining, minerals, and metals sectors. Training is within, again, the maximum subsidy of 18,000 reimbursement. So that's 75% up to 4,000 for training. And you must be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or refugee status as a candidate between 15 and 30 years old, and there's no post-secondary requirements for candidates. The business on the host organization side can be of all sizes and only full-time positions. So for us, we consider full-time 30 hours and above. Only full-time positions are eligible for this program. Nature-Based Solutions Program. This is a new program we offer, and it provides training and funding for workers moving into roles in habitat restoration, watershed restoration, well reclamation, and regenerative agriculture. And it's funded by the Government of Canada's Future Skills Program. So for this program, we offer reimbursements of $10 per hour up to $4,500. So that can cover 100% if that's what is being paid. Placement details, it has to be a climate change adaptation role and would be 3 to 5 months in length. The key points are that it is for candidates transitioning from a position in natural resource management, and is only open to companies that are operating in British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Yukon, and Northwest Territories. And there's a 1,000 honorarium provided upon completing training. For training, there's a 1-week nature-based solutions training program on in-demand skills and technical knowledge, which is valued at $2,500. For candidates, they must be Canadian citizens, permanent residents, or hold refugee status. There are no age restrictions or post-secondary requirements, and it's open to businesses of all sizes, full or part-time. Next slide, Karen, please. This is another new program we're offering, the Apprenticeship Service Program. Excuse me. So this program is designed to make hiring first-year Red Seal trade apprentices easier for small to medium enterprises, and funding is offered by the Government of Canada's Apprenticeship Service Program. So we offer 50% up to a maximum of 5,000, and that can be bumped up to 10,000 for self-identifying equity-deserving candidates. The placement must be a first-year Red Seal trade, working in 3 to 12 month positions, and students must work a minimum of 180 hours. The program is made specifically for students of Red Seal trades, and there are better conditions than in the co-op program. And again, that focuses on the equity deserving candidates. We do have that environmental organization focus there. There are no training funds, and the candidate must be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, hold refugee status. They must be a first-year apprentice, but there's no age restrictions for the candidates, but there must be an active apprenticeship agreement, which we do ask for. And the employer must be small to medium-sized enterprise, and full-time or part-time positions are eligible. So I think we have a poll on the next slide to see if anyone is interested in that program. We have lots of space available there.
Okay, so we just have them coming in. 20% that would like to learn more, so we'll certainly reach out to you after this webinar and make sure that you have all of the information that you need. And we'll close that poll.
Perfect. Okay, and this link, if you would like to join the waitlist, you can click this link and you can, as a candidate or a host employer, you can sign up to get more information about any of our available programs, existing and future programs. So please feel free to check that page out. And we're just going to move back to Karen, and she's going to explain the SurveyMonkey Apply process. So we use SurveyMonkey for our full-time program applications. Currently, we do have co-op running through the Eco Canada website, but we are gradually shifting that to SurveyMonkey as well. So everything will be offered through SurveyMonkey Apply as far as applications go. Thanks, Karen.
No worries. Thank you, Celine. So like Celine mentioned, for the Student Work Placement Co-op program, if you are interested in our winter term funding or our fall term funding, you will be going through our Eco Canada online portal to create your account, log in, and complete an application for that co-op program. Now, if you are interested in any of our full-time programs, that is not the Student Work Placement Co-op program, all that and the application process will be done through SurveyMonkey Apply. And so usually once you go on the programs page, it will give you an overview of what is eligible, what is considered an eligible candidate and host employer. So if you're the candidate or employer, you will just have to click apply as an employer or a candidate. Once you click on that against that program, it will take you to a second page that looks like this. So it will look like that. And then it gives you an overview of what's expected of you. So creating your SurveyMonkey account, putting in your application, having that reviewed, and then taking you through the process of matching your candidate. So once you are on this second page, you will just have to click register to create your SurveyMonkey account. And then once you have created that account and you are logged into SurveyMonkey, you'll just have to click on programs and it will take you to the programs page that has all the different programs being offered this current fiscal year. And then you'll just have to go against the program that you are interested in to click learn more and start that application process. And then once you've submitted your application, it does take about 10 to 15 business days to receive a status update from us. If you haven't received a status update from us, then you will just have to send an email to our Pathways inbox so we can follow up with the regional coordinator and have that application reviewed in a timely manner. Or you can also send an email to myself or Celine, and we will be able to put you through to your regional coordinator. And now we will be taking any questions, and we also have our emails there in case you are interested in just sending us an email for questions that you may have at later times. Thank you.
Okay, so we do have quite a few questions, so get ready, ladies. Wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. Okay, so our first question is coming from Laura, and Laura's asking, so does net new apply to existing students?
So for the net new, that applies to anticipated students you will hire for the fiscal year. So I know the question is asked, so it will ask if you've taken part in Eco Canada's Student Work Placement Co-op funding. Once you click yes, it will ask you the first year that you took part in that funding, which you'll just have to enter. The next question it asks you after that would be how many students you had hired in that year you received the funding, and then how many students you intend on hiring for this fiscal year that you intend to get funding for. So if in your
Oh, Karen, you've cut out.
But this fiscal year you are trying to get funding for 3 more, you will have to anticipate hiring 6 people. And so there is an increase of you hiring 3, so we are able to fund those 3, that increase in students that you are hiring.
Perfect. Sierra has a question. Can municipalities apply for SHI?
Just 1 second here.
I believe so. Just a
Sorry, Karen, did you hear that question?
Yeah, I don't think there are limits for that program. As long as the company is Canadian owned or Canadian subsidiary, that is the main requirement. And yeah, I don't think that's a restriction, only for the co-op program.
Perfect.
Does that sound right, Karen, for municipalities?
Sorry, could you repeat that? My headphones just went out, so I didn't hear the question.
They're just asking if municipalities can apply for SHI.
Oh, yes, they can definitely apply for SHI. The only program they can't apply for would be our Student Work Placement Co-op program and somewhat of our Environmental Employability Pathways program, just because that program does focus on small to medium-sized organizations.
Perfect. Tanya has a question. Can we still apply if we are already getting IRAP funding for a particular new graduate?
IRAP. I'm not entirely sure. Would you be able to send me an email?
Absolutely.
And then I will follow up with my supervisor to see if that's funding that can be stacked with IRAP.
Great. So Tanya, we'll get back to you after this webinar. Okay, so Betty has a question. Betty's asking, regarding the Horizon project, can you clarify that an employee might receive funding for wage support up to 25K and additional funds for training activities up to 5K? So she's asking if they receive funding for wage and additional funds for training.
That is correct. So that wraparound service training is not included in that 25,000. So it is additional funding for you.
Perfect.
Yeah. And that's the same, the Sectoral Workforce Solutions Environmental Jobs Growth Program. It's the same for that program. The funding is in addition to the maximum wage subsidy you could receive.
Wow, what a great opportunity.
Oh.
Okay, we have a question from Anchor. Anchor is asking, does the employer have to be part of Eco Canada?
So no, they don't have to be part of Eco Canada, but they will have to put in their application to get the process started to secure that funding. So host employers or interns don't have to be a part of Eco Canada. Once they secure their own candidate or host employers, they're just expected to send them the link to the page or have them give us a call so we give them a walkthrough of how to put in their application, have that pre-approved, and then match to that candidate's application.
Wonderful.
And we would love to, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Celine, sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, after you are a host in the employment programs, we would love to share what else ECO offers that could help you and your candidates along in their environmental career. But you don't have to be certified or anything with ECO to be a part of the wage funding.
Wonderful. Rita's asking, for the EFTD program, the Environment Foreign Talent Development, you mentioned that the age requirement is 30 years or younger, but later you mentioned there's no limit. Please clarify.
Oh, no, there is an age limit for the Environmental Foreign Talent Development Program. So you have to be 30 years or younger to partake in that program. What I had mentioned was if the intern is already 30 years of age, they will have to have started their job position with the organization before they turn 31 to be able to partake in that funding. Because then it will still show that they were 30 years and not 31. If they're 31, they will be ineligible for the program.
Okay.
Karen, for EFTD, there isn't actually.
Oh, there isn't?
No, I don't think there is an age. There's no age requirement for EFTD.
Ooh.
The for 30 and under
correct.
is so for for the environmental foreign talent development, there's no age requirement. For environmental employability pathways, Science Horizons, Youth and Natural Resources are the ones that have the age limit of 30 years. Everything else.
That back. All right.
So
sorry for the miscommunication there.
No problem. We can get back to you after this, Rita, and let you know the exact rundown on that program and any other questions that you have for us. Okay, so we have a question from Ankar. They're asking, is there any help available for employers to understand and apply for the appropriate grants?
So usually you can call into our office. What I usually tell people to do is send us a job description to our Pathways inbox, so we can take a look at what the job description is, and then we would be able to let you know what the best program would be that you can utilize and take advantage of the funding. So the best thing would be to send an email to the Pathways inbox. Usually conversations had over the phone, it's not easy to decipher if it would be a good fit for the program, but if you send us a job description to our Pathways inbox, then we will be able to send that off to a supervisor or a funder just to confirm that it is good for the exact program and let you know what the next steps are to submit that application.
Okay. Now we have a question from Joseph, and Joseph is asking, if an individual would enroll into this program, i.e. the Environmental Jobs Growth Program, how does the program help the individual? It seems like these programs are catered more towards the employers.
Well, the employer does get the funding reimbursement, but the aims of the programs are to help individuals that maybe are having difficulty getting their first job in the environmental sector, or they really want to move from one part of it to the other. So it's really helping candidates gain that experience, and it's giving them a leg up when they're able to have funding reimbursed for hiring them for their wages. So it's giving them an opportunity to gain that experience in that industry and make connections with the within the organization and through working with that organization. So it does really help both parties, and we've had many candidates who actually go on to start their own companies and become host employers themselves. So it does, there's definitely a benefit for both parties. But yeah, candidates don't unfortunately get any extra money, just their wages.
Yeah, but
Very
I do
interesting.
find, I do find that after the placements are done, depending on how the participant was during the placement, these organizations tend to end up keeping them on as full-time permanent employees. So
Right.
it's just creating that first job experience and giving you that leg into the industry. And then depending on the program that you are in, you are sometimes able to utilize some sort of training funds. So instead of paying out of pocket for some environmental course, you may be able to do that through Eco Canada and have that reimbursed back to your host organization. So it's also like a training and learning experience as well, depending on the program.
And then Joseph actually made a comment that that question was particularly interesting for people that are transitioning into an environmental field. Like, this wage funding is actually quite beneficial for people that are transitioning from one sector to another. So I think that's very valid. Okay. So we have a question from Mike, and Mike is asking, would the youth and natural resources apply to agriculture?
There's a bit of a strange, for some reason, agricultural roles in general, typically the funders like those to be funded under the Science Horizons program. I think there is a little bit of room in the environmental jobs growth program for, what is it called? I can't remember the name of it, a specific type of agriculture that is focused on basically making seeds more resilient to climate change and things like that. But typically agricultural roles, we do have to move them into the Science Horizons program.
Interesting. Okay, so Helen has a question. Would the EEP program be appropriate for a 4-month co-op student?
Yes, it could be, just because that doesn't have the post-secondary requirement. So yes, a co-op student who's still in school can still partake in an EEP program. But just a heads up that they can only partake in that EEP program with your organization one time. And so for them to, what I usually tell people is to maybe go through the student work placement co-op programs first to utilize that funding. And then after that's done, then maybe move into just one final full-time program that you can utilize funding for. So that's that.
We have a question from Blair. Blair's asking, what is a self-identifying equity deserving candidate definition? And we've actually had this a few times throughout. So maybe if we can just give a little rundown on what an equity deserving candidate is.
So it depends on the program. For the student work placement co-op program, it would be females in STEM, first-year students, persons with disabilities, Indigenous persons, recent immigrants, or visible minorities. And then for the ASP program, so the apprenticeship program, what we would consider to be equity deserving would be Indigenous persons, person with disabilities, visible minorities, recent immigrants, persons part of the LGBTQ plus or women. And then same thing for the environmental job growth program. But for the youths and natural resources program, the equity deserving candidates, what we would consider as those would be Indigenous persons, persons with disability, or people in the northern, rural, or remote regions.
Great. Rita is also asking, which of these programs can a green retail employer participate in?
Green retail. The only program I can think of off the top of my head would be the Environmental Employability Pathways program, just because the other programs do have to be a strong, hands-on role in the field, the STEM role that's in the field. So the EEP program, Environmental Employability Pathways program, would be the best one to put in an application to.
And Rita, I'm just going to let you know that we're having an upcoming event coming up for small to medium-sized businesses and their carbon offset programs and how to reduce their GHG emissions. So I'll send you an invite over for that after this webinar. Next, we have a question from Ben, and Ben is asking, for the nature-based solutions program, can the position in natural resource management be around food waste prevention or conservation of food resources?
For that,
we might have to get back to you on that one because we both cover Ontario, so we didn't actually coordinate any positions in that program. So we can reach out to our nature-based solutions coordinator covering Alberta and BC, and we can get back to you if that's all right and let you know more details about that program.
Perfect. So we'll make sure and get some answers for you, Ben.
okay.
We have a question from Sean. Sean is asking, can you comment on the availability and or timing for programs in relation to financial years? Example, some programs have a 12-month max, but depending on where in the year I apply, I understand that the length may be shorter.
This is correct. So different programs have different requirements, but most of them have a start date of April 1st, I believe, of 2023. And usually those placements would run from April 1st of 2023 till February 29th of 2024, just because the end of the fiscal year is March 31st. And that gives us enough time to make the reimbursements back to your host organization. So if you are just hiring, say, in August, we will only be able to match the placement from August all the way till when the program actually ends. So that would be February 29th of 2024. So you wouldn't be, sorry, what was that?
Sorry, I was just going to say that something to note though is typically with offering about $20 plus an hour, working full-time, typically individuals are able to make the max amount of reimbursement without working anywhere near the full 12 months. So even if it is shorter than 12 months, you're very likely to be able to make that maximum reimbursement.
Great news. Okay, so Emma's asking, when do applications open for student work placement funding for winter 2024 and spring 2024?
So for spring and for winter, that would most likely be opening up in the new fiscal year. So after April 1st of 2024. But it is hard to tell what programs would be offered in the new fiscal year just because we haven't received signed contracts from the funders. I don't believe we will receive any of that information until maybe sometime in February. So the best thing would be to get on our wait list for any programs that you are interested in, so we can reach out to you once that program opens up. And then I always tell people to please reach out to us starting from February, just to know and see if we have any information about any programs that might be offered coming up in the new fiscal year.
And we are actually for January to March 2024 co-op placements, you can actually submit your applications now. So we are working through those applications now and still working through the fall 2023 applications that are coming in.
Okay. Does business of all sizes include post-secondary institutions? That's a question from Elise.
Yes, so businesses of all sizes can also include post-secondary institutions. The only program that will not allow that would be that student work placement co-op program.
Okay. And I just wanted to let everyone know that I've shared Karen and Celine's emails in the chat because there was a question about that. Okay, so is it possible to extend a placement? Also, can an intern be funded by 2 programs simultaneously or in a row? This is a question from Priscilla.
So with EcoCanada's funding programs, you can only partake in one of our funding programs, but you can't use the different programs that we offer to stack on top of a different funding that we are already giving out to you. So if you are looking for extra funding, you will have to maybe get that from a different delivery organization, but you will have to reach out to us just to confirm that we are able to do the stacking with our funding as well.
Yes, each program has slightly different rules for stacking. In general, it is permitted. It depends if it's allowed to be federal, provincial, things like that. It depends on the sources, but it can never go over 100% of the wages. And you can be receiving different kinds of funding from us at the same time for different candidates.
Okay.
But if you meant if you can receive different funding for candidates at different times, we are able to have co-ops go into one full-time program after they graduate. For environmental foreign talent development program, we can have Canadian newcomers move into a full-time program after they're done that program. But other than that, it's pretty slim with movement that way.
Okay. So there's kind of a follow-up question from Marquita, and she's asking, are any of the funding programs stackable? So, and then she's asking which ones are. So I'm assuming we go to the landing page and find out, is there information about which programs are stackable, or should she be reaching out to you guys direct?
I would say reach out to us directly, and then we would be able to let you know for each of the programs.
Okay,
and
perfect.
I can tell you right now, though, that the only 2 it looks like that absolutely no stacking is allowed is for youth and natural resources and nature-based solutions. So for all other programs, you are able to do a mix, but I would reach out directly to find out if that could be federal, provincial, private, municipal, things like that.
Okay. So Betty has some questions about the Horizon program, and she's trying to plan for the future here. So she's asking, are applications for work placements starting this fall or January?
And this is for the Science Horizons Youth Internship. So the applications are currently opened right now. So that program doesn't run by term. It just runs by fiscal year. So we are still accepting applications at this time. So you can go ahead and put that into the system.
Okay, so that's her follow-up question, kind of, I think you answered. Do you anticipate sufficient funds to meet the application demand?
Yes, we not for this fiscal year, but we are reaching out to our funders just to see if we can get additional funding just because of the traffic of applications that we have received in the system. So hopefully if the funders see how much traction we're getting, they would be able to provide more funding and we're able to pre-approve more roles and allocate that.
And her last question is also, what can we expect regarding timing of possible awarding from application to confirmation? So how long does that usually take from application to confirmation?
So it does take 10 to 15 business days. And if you haven't received a status update, then you just have to follow up with our Pathways email, just so we can connect you to the regional coordinator. And then once you've been pre-approved for funding, you receive that pre-approval email, which lets you know you have 30 days to secure a candidate. If you've already secured the candidate and you have someone and they've submitted their application, you just have to send us an email responding back to your pre-approval. Confirming the name of the candidate, their start date, and gross monthly salary so we can make the match in the system. And then once you sent that information, you're usually good to go. And then the regional coordinators just work in the order in which they receive this to do the matching. Once the matching is done, we send out contracts to you that need to be completed within 15 days by the host employer and 10 days by the interns. And then this is sent through DocuSign. So it goes to the host employers first, then the interns, and then gets back to the regional coordinators to do the final signing and filing on that placement. Then all you would have to do is just wait for and take notes of the report due dates that will be stated on your contract, just because you will have those reports to be completed by that due date. So the process of reviewing the application and doing the matching, sending out the contracts, having all that signed and completed, I would say would take about 3 weeks, Celine. If we review that within the 15 days, get that give the pre-approval and then receive the matched information, you should have been matched and the contracts will be sent out to you within 3 to 4 weeks tops. If it will take longer, the regional coordinator will respond back to your email, just letting you know that they have received that information and they're just working on getting things done. So that is all that needs to be done. So I would say about 3 to 4 weeks to have the application reviewed, and then have that matching done as well and have contracts sent out.
Great. And then Leslie's asking what our fiscal year is.
So for our programs, the fiscal year starts April 1st of each year. So April 1st all the way to usually February 29th of the next year or February 28th of the next year. So for example, this fiscal year runs from April 1st of 2023 all the way to February 29th of 2024. And then the new fiscal year will start April 1st of 2024.
And Sarah's asking, does the EGJP offer the wraparound services as well?
Yes, that program does offer wraparound services. That is the program that has the additional funding on top of that 50% to a maximum of $15,000. And so once you're pre-approved, you will use and you have been matched and the contracts are sent out, you will receive that training request guide form that lets you know what may be eligible.
And that one offers up to $5,000 in addition to the max wage reimbursement, and it's up to 100% reimbursement for training and wraparound supports.
Okay. Okay, we have a next question is, would I need to get an employer's interest first before applying for the program, or how does that process usually work?
You can apply for the program first, and then once you're pre-approved, you could use that to attract host employers. So I find that maybe adding that to your cover letter could be helpful, just letting them know that you're pre-approved for some wage funding, and if they're able to take you on in your job role, some part of your wages will be covered by Eco Canada. And then you can just put that in your cover letter, and then usually they want to find out more about Eco Canada and how they can partake in that. And yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, that's a great little in there. Okay, so Sarah is saying, if we plan to hire 2 net new, but we later decide we cannot, will that affect our previously approved subsidy? Sometimes budgets change with the new fiscal year.
Mhm.
Within the
So
applications, sorry, Karen. Oh, do you want
you
to take
go
it?
ahead. You can go
So
ahead.
on our application, we always ask how many do you intend to hire, and it's all for the statistical reporting. So we never go and confirm, like at the end of the fiscal year, demand to know how many you did hire or anything like that. So it's just about your intention, and it's not if you plan to get funding for co-ops through a different delivery organization as well, you can include all of those numbers. So it's not just specific to eco funding. You can use the number of co-op students in general that you're looking to hire and hoping to hire, and we don't check in on that. It's just when you submit the application, what your plans are for the future, the next year.
Yeah.
Right. And then Rita's asking, for the EFTD program, is the salary predetermined by Eco Canada?
No, it is not. That is determined by the host organization and the employees themselves. But it will have to be at least minimum wage of the region that you are applying from, is what we say.
And with that program, because it's technically hiring highly trained, experienced Canadian newcomers, we do scrutinize a bit more on the type of role and how much is being offered, just to make sure it's a fair opportunity for the candidate there.
Of course. And Kathy's asking, can universities apply for these fundings?
Yes, they can apply for some of our funding, all funding actually, except for the Student Work Placement Co-op program, as post-secondary institutions are not eligible.
Okay. Patrick's asking, well, Patrick thinks that one of our new positions would fit within a couple of the programs. Can we apply for the same position in 2 programs and see which one is successful?
Yes, you can apply for the same role in 2 different programs, and whichever you get pre-approved for, you can just go with that program.
And we do also, if we're reviewing an application and we can see that it's not a fit for that specific program, but it would fit well within another, we do indicate that in the review. So in the comments that you'll get on your status update. And we do, I think most coordinators will supply a link to the other program that you can submit that application for as well, to make it a little easier that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is true.
And Kelly's asking, will student applicants be matched to employers in their region?
We do have, we do occasionally, particularly in the summer, have students from, say, Alberta going to Ontario to work a co-op in a different province. So we don't have to keep things within the same regions as far as candidates. You can even have remote, you can have individual students or full-time interns working remotely for a region, but your coordinator will be based on where the organization is operating.
Okay. This is kind of on the same stream. They are wondering, they're currently in Ontario, but can they get remote opportunities at qualified provinces like Alberta and BC, etc.?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely can support remote positions. I think it even asks on the applications if it will be remote or if a percentage will be remote, percentage in office, field work, all sorts. We fund all sorts of roles like that.
Okay. We have a question. Can we have our existing employees go through the training? Will they qualify for funding for training?
Let's see. So it depends on when they were hired and depending on the region. So you will have to maybe send us an email to our Pathways inbox So we can follow up with the exact regional coordinator you should be talking to, just to make sure that there are spots still left before you put in an application to the programs.
But if you do have, say you have a Science Horizons placement and you did some training, you didn't know about the wraparound services, but the candidate has completed some training within the bounds of the internship, then you can absolutely submit a training request and we can reimburse you for training, approved training that you've already completed, as long as it has been completed within the placement dates.
Okay, great. Well, that brings us to the top of the hour. Wonderful presentation, ladies. We do still have some questions that are remaining. I just want to let everyone know that if you have written a question in the chat, the ladies will get back to you after this webinar with any answers that you need. This webinar has also been recorded and will be in your inbox within the next 24 hours for your perusal after at your leisure. So please, if you did have questions in the chat box, we will be getting back to you after this webinar. We will not leave you hanging. Someone will be reaching out to you shortly. So thank you so very much, ladies. Wonderful presentation. Thank you everyone for attending and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.